This episode is brought to you by the new D9 Business Directory. Shop Greek owned brands from a variety of categories. And if you are a Greek, author, or business owner, add your profile today at d9business.com. Honoring those trailblazers who preceded us is just as important as leaving a legacy for those who will follow us. Greekly Speaking is about highlighting Greeks today who are creating positive change for tomorrow. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Hi, welcome to Greekly Speaking. I'm Eric, and joining me for this episode is Mark Wiggins of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. He was initiated in the Gamma Phi chapter in 1987. He's a motivational speaker, an author, and a speaking coach. He's also the CEO of Off the Bench magazine. Mark, man, how you doing today?
I'm good, bro. Tuck, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
You got a deep list of credentials, man. I'm going through all the stuff you guys said. I don't have time to go through all of this. This is just way too deep for me, man. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm loving the content, man. We connected because you recently joined the D9 Business Directory, which is a source of entrepreneurs and authors and business owners that are members of the D9 Greek community. First of all, man, it's 2021 now. How you feel about that?
Bruh, it's 2020 with a spillover. It's going well. I can't complain. You're blessed to be able to still be here. To continue to move forward in some directions. B, and just be thankful for what you have, which is what we're about. Just achievement. We're about moving forward. So it's been a challenge. In my day job, it's a retail operation, so it's definitely challenging to stay afloat and make some decisions and adjustments that you didn't ever thought you'd have to make to try to keep the overall organization around. They start looking for other things to do just in case. So it was a challenge, but 21 began. It just brings more opportunity and another chance to grow. So yes, I'm all about it.
It's definitely you're the backup plan, right?
Yeah, right. The redundancy plan. I think that's the name of a book, the redundancy plan.
I'm serious, man. You got to be able to evolve and pivot a little bit, man. But hey, so for our listeners, man, where are you from originally?
Yeah, Bro Tuck, I'm from originally from Maple Heights, Ohio, suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. Shouts out to all things Ohio, Cavaliers, Browns, Indians. I'm here for it. So, yes.
Well, as a Chicago Cubs fan, grew up on the South Side, I just want to thank you guys for that World Series, man. And let's just move on to the next topic.
Please, quickly, because we're about to end this whole conversation.
I love it, man. I love it. Hey, so you found interest in Kappa Alpha Psi. Did you have any Greek influences in your life coming up?
You know what? That's real interesting. You look back on it, you didn't think you did when you were growing up, but there were some influences. In my neighborhood, the influence at the time heavily was Omega. Everybody went to step. Everybody was cool with the look and all of that. For some strange reason, while I was out here trying to do line dances and steps with my little neighborhood crew, hey, we're gonna be Qs, gonna be Qs. And I'm like, yeah, Mark, you should be a Q. And I was like, I don't know, but my favorite uncle, is an Omega, and he never really talked about it, so I didn't know much about it. So other influences weren't necessarily known to me. But it wasn't until I got to campus, and I went to University of Alabama, Huntsville. I pledged to A&M, but I was at UAH. So if we all old school, it we call a colony chapter. But we know our nationals don't recognize colonies, so that's why it's Gamma Phi. But I was at UAH on basketball scholarship, so I got some exposure there to all the Greek life there, of course, up at A&M, and that was it. One of our advisors was on campus. He had like some influence on looking at Kappa differently. I actually remember coming on campus, and I think a lot has to do with how our parents raise us to be and look. You got to have a suit and tie and a briefcase, because that's the sign of success, right? This is a briefcase and a tie. And I saw these brothers walking on campus, and they were always booted. Now, on across town, it was either Wednesday or Friday, it would go suit and tie day. But it was every day for these brothers. And I was like, who is that? And I inquired, checked him out, and I ran to his brother named Sonny. I give him all the credit. I ain't gonna explain too much. We happened to be in the same room with a particular female on campus that day. And just coming through, and he asked me, did I know anything about Kappa Alpha Psi? And I was like, nah. So he said, I need you to read this. So I read the book and he started talking about it. And that was my first introduction to officially into Kappa, to understanding what they were about and the mission and the founding.
Man, I think that there's about 5 or 6 stories in what you just said, but we're gonna
Bro.
move on, man. I love it.
It's
So
always a story.
how many people came through with you?
It was listen, there we go. These stories start off at 5. One couldn't make it, so we ended up 4. I was the number 5 tail dog. Our line was short. Shouts out to the Diamond Network 7. And then we picked up an ace from Georgia Tech. He's in his line. LB didn't quite do too well, so he came on hang out with us, and we adopted him as an ace. And so there's still 5 of us.
Okay, so it was 5 minus 1 plus 1. So it did you round up to? I like this, man. This is deep. This is.
Somebody was looking at his. It was, and when he pledged, there were just 2 of them online,
Oh
and
wow.
but again, we just family. We just talking family talk, and sometimes the process wasn't always kind to those when we finished, right? And they don't necessarily affiliate anymore. And he was left without pretty much a line brother. So when he came to Huntsville, we actually were on the same. He came and played basketball with the team I was already on. He came and played with us for a little while, and then next thing we know, we got to be friends. And here's my sands. We got to be kicking. Hey, we need an ace. He goes, I need the line. So we still tight to this day. Still tight to this day.
Hey man, I love that. And you came through what fall? It was a fall or spring '87.
Spring '87. Spring '87.
Spring '87, and
Mhm.
I came through fall '86. So I
Okay,
understand, man.
difference paid. Right,
And,
right, right.
and,
Where'd you go over?
Alcorn State University, Alpha
Okay.
Zeta chapter, yeah, down in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting that one of my line brothers' roommate was pledging Kappa at the same time, man. I cannot tell you how many times we had to collaborate on some stuff in the
Man,
process. It was awesome, man. So
allies,
it was great.
allies,
Uh,
allies. Right, right, right,
to
right.
death, to death. And I wanted to hear a little bit about your background. You mentioned that you were in Huntsville, and that's where you got that Greek bond, the concept of the brotherhood and everything, man. And I love that you had an opportunity to do some research. Somebody reached out and gave you some literature to kind of
Mhm.
take in. What advice would you give someone who's thinking about going Greek?
Wow. First of all, do your research. Understand that again, depending on where you are, if we're talking, undergrads, let's be clear again, we speak in family facts, as we all struggle to survive as organizations. Let's keep it real. We have to make it through. Just really do the research on what you want long term. What you see on campus is not totally the representation of what happens after campus. I think the one thing Sonny told me online, and before I got online, which I never forgot, was that you're only an undergrad for 4 years or so, but you're Kappa for the rest of your life. So what is it you want to do afterwards? And does this organization, now this is him talking before I got in, does it resonate with what you want to see and as you see yourself long range? I was sophomore, bro. I don't long range was after lunch, after practice. So I needed to really look at it. And I looked long range. I said, well, this kind of resonates with me. So I recommend to anyone, just look at the bigger picture of work. Don't get caught up with all of the frills and frets and whatever. We have our good times, but what kind of work do you resonate with? We all do good work, just a matter of the approach. So if it resonates with you, then commit. And if you commit, please commit and stay committed. Don't get in and disappear. I think there was an Omega out in our county, and he was hilarious to me. He's like, man, I saw some of your frat. He's new in town. I was talking to him and I asked him, was he financial? He said he wasn't financial. So I'm not even gonna give you his name. I said, dang, it's like that. He said, man, if you ain't financial, I ain't passing because you need to get financial. I said, told him he needs to go ahead and get financial. And you know what? I received all of that. Now you're right, bro. If you're gonna commit to something for the rest of you, be financial at minimum. So I would just say you're gonna get to something, look for the long range, be ready to commit and give your service in dollars and in physical work, because that's what's required.
That is solid gold because this is a lifetime commitment. And let's just say the pledging doesn't really start until after you go through, man, in my opinion, because that's when the
Mhm.
work has to get put in, man. So sounds like Kappa has had a positive impact on your life, would you say?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Feel free to use whatever you need to use for the soundbite. If I drop some gems, because I be shocking myself sometimes for what I say. So, as a
I
motivational
love it.
speaker, I stay on top of it. But it really is. I liken it to when you talk about the journey actually starts afterwards. I liken it to martial arts, right? So my son was taking Taekwondo, my son and my daughter back in the day, and it got all the way through the black belt. And at the ceremony, the sensei said the following type of thing. He said, now that you achieved your black belt, the journey to become a master has begun. And I'm like, what was they doing before? The red, the brown, the yellow, the orange. What he said was, now that you got the basic skills, now the work begins to maintain that mastership, the mastery. So what you're saying is true. The pledging is just the entry level. The work is what carries you forward and identifies you and brands you with your organization for what we all are known for over these 100+ years. So that's what you need to be signing up for. I need to sign up for.
I really wish people would hear that more often so they can be, there's a preparation process and everything, but sure. I think you need to know in general what type of commitment is going on, man. So how do you guys feel about the past 6 months in your area? Have you seen more galvanization of the different organizations kind of coming together?
I do see some galvanization and I can speak for our county. There's not a lot of Blacks out in Loudoun County. So we always kind of galvanize. It's almost like, it's like being the Divine Nine on the white campus. That's it. There's my example. All we got is us. I know our chapter has done more collaborative work, especially on, fundraising events and pivoting to Zooming. And we did a lot of interaction trying to reach out and partner. The Sigma chapter is out there. We're trying to, partner with them with some things. I think we're trying to understand for real, it's going to take a true collaboration so we all can win. If we don't, we can all be winning, but we won't be winners. We're not going to win together and take control of our areas where we are. I'm not worried about DC. I'm not worried about Maryland. I'm worried about Loudoun County, Virginia, because it's where I sit. You know what I'm saying? I want to know my county is being affected positively by the group and affiliates that I find affectionate, the Divine Nine, and what our impact. And for the most part, our Divine Nine makes great impact in our county.
And speaking of making impacts, you mentioned the motivational speaking aspect of your brand. How did you get into that, man? Tell us about that.
Lord. So it goes back to the church, as always, as all things do. Getting up, you come home from, I'll bore you with the early recitation statements. But when I went to college and come back home for spring break, I always had to get up and tell everybody what was going on in school so I could encourage other children in the church. Mark, how's the college? My dad's like, don't sound stupid. Don't sound stupid. So I had to get up and start to say things. And so at that point, people began to want to hear from. I didn't understand. Let me be clear, bro Tucker. I didn't understand the impact that I was really having as a maturing, growing Black male in college. I didn't know what that was really doing for someone behind me. But as I got grown, I recognized that it meant a lot to see the example, right? So we did that. I started speaking a little bit more. But it wasn't until I actually moved to the DC area and opened up a store. I had my own cookie operation back in the day, where I got an opportunity to go to speak to a DECA class, the business class at the high school. And I'd done some gigs here and there, whatever. And she asked me to come speak to the DECA class about business. All right, I'm a business owner. Okay, cool. I went in there and talked about the SBA, business plan, budgeting. And Brother Tuck, I left out of that joint bored. I bored myself. She said it was great. I was bored. And so I just realized that, God, if you're going to have me up here talking to people, I need to have something more to say. And that began the whole journey of, let's talk about the journey of success. Let's talk about recovery. Let's talk about what's going to take to get to your goals. And little did I know my next moves in life would give me more content, losing the business and going through divorce and all that kind of stuff and rebuilding. That gave me content and a platform and to help other people. So that's how my speaking career began. And from there, I still speak and write books and do a whole bunch of other stuff.
I love it, man.
Sure.
I was asking about the Off the Bench magazine. What is that concept and how did you get that going?
Every time you ask me something, there's a story, right? There's a story to go with it. There's a setup, and then there's the action. The magazine came about literally as a conversation. I was in Philly riding in an Uber going to a cigar bar to hang out with the bros. I was up there to speak, and I heard that we was doing, how we do. We go to town, we look for us or anybody. Yeah. It's us, and then who else got something going on? And then we're gonna go check it out. So I went to the cigar bar, got a ride from Uber, and the sister pulls up. She got to talking. She said she was a speaker, did training, whatever. I was like, bet, I'll follow you on the gram, blah, blah, blah. Literally, a year went past, and she hit me up and says, hey, Mark, I started this digital magazine. I think you'd be great in it. Come on in. So I advertised my podcast. I put it in there. She hit me back. So how'd I like it? It's great. And then all of a sudden she's like, you should have your own magazine. And I was like, sorry, I'm not sure what you said. She said, you should have your own magazine. I'm like, I don't want to write that much. She said, you should, no. And then it hit me like, oh, okay. So I began to look as a platform push to give my clients that I train in speaking and speaker development another area to get their message out. You know, as a podcaster, you know, a speaker, if you speak, is about the opportunity, is about the reps. And that's how you're going to get better. And that's how you get this exposure. So I created this to have a platform for my speakers to get my message out and to push the brand and mindset and the movement of getting off the bench. My original statement I learned back in college, right? MTXE is off the bench into the starting lineup of life. So the magazine was birthed November-ish. I dropped it in December. In like 2 weeks, I turned it up, got people in, advertisers, and now it's a lifestyle, brand, motivational entrepreneur magazine. So that's how the magazine is coming up. And I didn't know I was gonna be able to. She's like, "What are you gonna?" I said, "I'll do quarterly. You know, I want to stretch myself." She said, "Mark, it's not gonna work." I said, I don't. It's monthly. It's a monthly magazine. So that is the magazine, and I'm always looking to get the positive message out. So I write in it. I have life coaches in there, entrepreneurs, youthpreneurs, anybody that has a positive message, you know, looking to share and get their message out. Authors podcast page as a resource. I'm looking for it.
Oh man, I love it. I'll definitely check it out as somebody who's gotten into the I call myself a pandemic podcaster. So, you know,
No, wait, so
we love it.
how did you spin up? I follow, you know, Joe and all them. How did you spin up and jump out to the podcasting? It's a great concept, by the way. How did you get up in here?
Honestly, man, I was so last spring, I was so, I guess, perturbed by all the negative content in the media, and I stopped watching the news over a decade ago, really. You know, I like to choose what I consume. And it's just, and I think more so than the negative content, I was frustrated with how easily people become addicted to it and subject themselves to it. And I said, hey, look, there's so much positive stuff going on, and I really want to put a light on that, man. We have brothers and sisters doing things, teaching things, and what I noticed in particular was here in the Dallas area where I am, so many of the Greeks were just working together, man. I mean, it was crazy because if they didn't have one, you couldn't tell what organization they were in unless they were wearing their letters. And I love that. And I don't think we really saw enough of that. You know, being old school, you know, sometimes you get a lot of negative press, you know, from the Greek life, right? Because if one mess up, we all mess up. But I saw a lot of positive efforts going on, and I wanted to be able to create a platform where we can, hey man, how'd you do what you do? Hey, how can we help promote what you got going on, and give the world another resource for something positive, man. So that's really where it came out of, bumping heads and learning, and you know, it's been a challenge, but it's been fun, and I'm kind of a perfectionist, so this is therapy for me. I said, you know what, I'm going to roll with all the imperfections until I get it worked out, because I want to sit back and look and say, yeah, I remember what I had.
Right.
And now we'll see what we got, you know, because now, you know, we got Brother Wiggins on, you know, you remember that second guest, you know, now who we got, you know, so I love that, man. So, and if you got a platform that we can help promote, man, hey, let's make it happen.
Absolutely.
Because you know, the thing is, podcasts, that's an addictive concept when you start listening to them. I was actually listening to them for a minute just because I got tired of hearing the same stuff on the radio, and I was like, man, this is great. I never thought I would do it, but man, I would love to spread the word with what you have going on, man. And in addition to your platform, which I think is a great idea, by the way, it's one of the best ways to address any insecurities you may have as far as speaking, just to go ahead and do it. You know, start doing it, right? And but the other thing, you also have the M Wayne designs. You know, how do you have time to do all this, man? Because I was on the site checking it out. I'm like, oh man, this is cool. We got some Greek gifts going on. So how did you get that started? Is that another story?
You know it is, bro. Now, first of all, I'm going to commend you on the podcast and getting started, because that's, how it moved out. I listened to podcasts and studied for months before. I've been doing mine for into my, I guess, my 4th year now. And a lot of it happened when I was having my knee surgery replacement. So I was laid up. So I just started podcasting, but I watched and watched and watched. And, it was just one of those things where I can do this. And I was doing it all nice and quiet, whatever. I said, man, when you going to just be you? I'm up, yeah, that's who I am. So I got to be this, right? But you got to be serious. And it's a great, great medium. And surprisingly, still, you tell somebody you have a podcast, they look at you like, wow, almost like when you tell them that you had a book. That's the level of podcasting right now. I got a book. Yeah, really? I was driving Uber, and I had a ride in. This lady and her daughter. She was back there playing her thing. And what do you do? The usual conversation. Bum, 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 bum. I got a podcast. She said, you got a podcast? Well, I'm gonna follow you right now. I'm like, okay, who are you? And it's off the bench of Mark Wiggins. Go ahead and get it. And she goes, oh my God, he's right here. So cool. And she had to be 14, 15. I'm like, that's impressive. All right, let's go with it. So to answer your question into M-Wayne Designs was something I had in my head a long time ago. I've always had dabbled in the Greek, like most folks, get in, get out, you see it. I started meeting Sigma Gamma Rho's, met some sisters. We partner with them pretty heavy here in the DC area. And so you get to understand people. And I began to hear what they were saying. I began to really look into their organization. Let me tell you something. The SG Rho's in this area, their marketing plan needs to be studied. How about that? It's an SOP. They do and liaison with chapters. They have the Sisters Connect. So anyway, you become affiliated with them. I was co-mark of our chapter, and I got to know them even more. I was like, okay, you know what? I started asking questions, and they're like, well, people don't want to make stuff for us. Say we're too small. We don't shop, and blah, 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 blah. I said, well, do y'all spend money? Because I know what they do. Y'all spend money? And she said, yeah, we spend money on quality, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, bet. So everybody had turned 100 except for them. And I was like, you know what? This is a 3-year plan. I said, let me get in now, 2 years ago now, get in, get my feet wet, learn the game. I wasn't trying to roll out quickly, navigate, be ready, and then go 22. Let's go in 22 with people knowing us, who we were, and what we do. So that has happened. I partnered with another brother who makes ceramic tea sets, uniquely, totally different on the floor. Matter of fact, his mother, she's an AKA Nanny's Creations. If you're AKA, you've been in that, you've seen her. You've seen this product. She's a platinum, gold, and silver. She's 93. She's still active. So wow. She's been around something for 40 plus years with this particular product, only for AKA, because what she is. She only did AKA. So her son, my frat brother, comes to me and brings his brand into SG Row world, and here we sit. So that's how I got into it, and we make these connections, and we're doing well up until last March. We got the rug snatched, but you know what? The connection's still good. We're still here, and we're going to expand because now, as a previous business owner of my own franchise, you understand you got to grow this thing slow or you're going to get buried. It's great to have the expansive growth, but if you can't support it, you can't get the merch in, you don't have the revenue, then all of a sudden your name is mud and people don't want to deal with you. It's a real small community, you know this. So that's how it got started. Yeah.
And negative press tends to fly faster than positive press. And on my other show, Tech Stage, we were talking about that same thing about scaling up and, digital marketing. And what happens if you start doing something right as far as marketing, you bring in consultants that help double the traffic. If you're not able to scale up, it's a negative experience that you create for customers. And then that's the start of your demise. So I like that you brought that up. So it sounds like you've got that expertise, you've got that experience, you've been in it long enough to know what you don't know. And I love that you're willing to seek that out first. What do I need to figure out? And then what's a smart way to go get that insight? And I think that's what's going to help keep you successful. And I hope you continue to share that with the next high school class you go to, and let them know. I love it, man. What's your baby right now? If I say, hey, you can only do one thing, what you gonna run into?
Brother Tucker, the baby right now is the magazine. And let me explain why it's the magazine, because I think it is the synergy force needed for the rest of my platform. The Greek business is the Greek business. It's the hobby that is cool, is going to grow. But what goes along with me, I'm an author, speaker, coach first. I've been speaking for more years than I've done anything else at this point. So it's part of me. I don't feel like I have to do a whole lot of extra. But what I found difficult over time as a solo shop, one man, whatever, was promoting myself. And I've been talking about this a lot lately to my speaking teams, is when you pick something to do and you're lining your message up, right? Now all of a sudden your brand, you think, comes out of your messaging, or is your brand what you call it? What is it? They should align. Someone behind me is you see on my platform, you see the speaker man, Mark Wiggins, right? I got the name Speaker Man from a young sister at a high school in DC. She had a question, you know, the kids, ninth grader. Hey, Mr. Speaker Man, I said, what'd you call me? Speaker Man. I said, oh, that's funny. I'm taking it from right now forth. I did this. I'm the Speaker Man. They all hollered and the name stuck. Well, unfortunately, Speaker Man ain't a brand. It was my persona. It was my on stage alter ego. It was my street name. It was my line name. You got your name and you got your line name. You got your cross line name. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the Speaker Man had become. Well, it was hard to promote that. I was trying to promote me as a speaker, but it wasn't the speaker. So a subtle change to Mark Wiggins, the Speaker Man, allowed the brand of Mark Wiggins to come forth. So the magazine has allowed me to do that and bring all of the speaking, the coaching, the books into this thing called the magazine as I push that brand, the Off the Bench brand, forward. So that's the number one baby at this point, but the rest of me comes with it because you can't separate them. So I'm excited about it. It makes more sense to me now. People try, you know, people trying, oh, blah, 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 blah. But I think some people over the years just missed the simple switch. More importantly, I missed the simple switch because I grew with my message. And I think another thing for my speaker friends out there, it's okay for your message to mature. It's okay for your story to change. It's okay for you to move from, I was just dealing with young people because that's where they put us. I deal with young people until you're too old to be, they're your kids now. They was cool, they was your cousins and your young, now they're your kids. They may or may not listen to you, grandpa. They may or may not listen to you, but your peers are listening now. So you have to move your message up a little bit and know who you're speaking to, know your market. So that's how I'm focusing on the magazine. That's what I'm pushing on brand at this point.
So talk to us. Where can we find out more about the magazine? Where can we reach out to you on that?
A magazine, it's offthebenchmagazine.com. Offthebenchmagazine.com. Also OTB Magazine on Instagram is where you can find me right now.
I love that play on that athletic perspective with off the bench and actually get into that starting lineup, man, because I think that's what a lot of us entrepreneurs aspire to do. And, you know, not only launch, but be impactful and be relevant and long lasting.
Like I said, because now you take I call it the transferable knowledge from what I did from my first business, how I grew a cookie franchise from a concept that wasn't in the DC area to the #5 franchise in the country, with what I was doing here to what I'm doing now. I know there's more to this thing. So when we do a platform, I can see the Off the Bench Speakers Forum, sponsored by Off the Bench Magazine. I got speakers. Hey, Brother Tucker, I need some speakers and some authors. What you got? And you reach out to the community, and that's what I'm trying to get to. Like you, I want to reach to my community and bring everybody along with, so we can all go out here and eat together, because the table is long and the buffet is big.
So for our listeners that want to reach out to you directly, because you got some good content, I think you're going to have another set of fans here soon. Where can they catch up with you?
You catch me up on Instagram. Again, my personal Instagram, Speakerman87. There, you can also hit me on Facebook at Speakerman87's Mark Wiggins.
All right. Mark Wiggins, Off the Bench Magazine, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Hey, man, thank you so much. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us here on Greekly Speaking, man, and dropping that knowledge, those gems as you call them. And man, we look forward to hearing more from you in the future. I know there's some good stuff coming. We can't wait to get into it. Till next time, we'll catch you later.
Thank you, Brother Tucker. Y'all be blessed.